This is Wu Linggen, the chubby OG, who can't say no, which is why he's always getting bullied at school. Tired of all this nonsense, he decided to focus on his studies to try to change his life in the future. His biggest dream was that when he grew up, people would judge others by their abilities, and not just by their appearance. But it didn't take long for him to realize that besides being a chubby OG, he was also a failing student with terrible grades. After graduation, the only job he could get was as a human punching bag at a gym. The ad was looking for someone who weighed over 90 kilograms and didn't need a diploma. In the end, he found himself in the same circle, but now the ones hitting him were professional fighters. He cried bitterly, wondering why everyone treated him so poorly. Suddenly, while he was mumbling to himself, a large, strong hand grabbed his shoulder. It was his supervisor, Mai Reining, asking him for a bit of help with the monthly report for the gym. Wu tried to argue that he was just a training partner, but he already knew he couldn't refuse the task. Seeing his hesitation, the supervisor got annoyed, flexed his muscles, and threateningly asked what he had just said. Looking scared, the chubby boy instantly agreed to do the report, and his boss told him to hurry up. Just when he thought the nightmare was over, the supervisor called his name, and Wu looked back, already exhausted. At that moment, all the gym's muscular guys appeared, asking him to do their reports as well. With a dark look in his eyes, it seemed like the hero was finally going to lose his temper and tell everyone to back off. But he just smiled and agreed to do all the work, proving that he really didn't know how to say no. They were stoned. Now, it's midnight, and the street is completely dark with only the light from a lonely street lamp. While Wu was working on his computer, he cried and wondered why he didn't refuse, since he wouldn't earn an extra penny from it. Suddenly, he felt a sharp pain in his chest, like his heart was about to explode at any moment. He remembered the doctor's warning that if he didn't lose weight, he would eventually drop dead unexpectedly. Feeling that his time was up, the chubby boy tried to articulate a call for an ambulance. But to make matters worse, he received a message stating that his service had been suspended due to non-payment. Desperate, he realized that he truly was going to pass through that dark room all alone at that moment. Nevertheless, in a last-ditch effort, he decided he needed to change and would not leave as an ordinary OG. So, he clicked to delete a folder full of secret study materials from his computer. Satisfied with his final act of dignity, he smiled and rested his head on the desk, feeling that he could finally leave in peace. His last thought was his wish that in his next life, he wouldn't be OG anymore. But instead of deleting, he accidentally clicked send to everyone, and a new message popped up on the screen. Somewhere else, his supervisor was surprised that Xiao Wu's report had been completed so quickly. Curiously, he opened the folder to see what the boy sent over. Suddenly, a highly inappropriate video started playing in the middle of the meeting, and everyone began to panic. The hero's eyes widened in pure shock from the colossal mistake he had just made. Without explanation, he now saw himself as a child and wondered if he had actually restarted his life. 20,000 years later, the story takes us to the Kyushu continent in a place called Dimju. A beautiful fox girl hugs a young man from behind, calling him affectionately Brother Linggen. Her name is Tushan Shu, and she asks him why he's still on the mountain when they promise to explore the world. The man who trained for 20,000 years lifts the entire mountain with just one arm. He introduces himself as Wu Linggen, an ordinary human with some extra strength, and says he's going to cause trouble. The girl is shocked and screams, wondering how an ordinary person can lift an entire mountain. He confirms that he's already been reincarnated, and that he spent the last 20,000 years training on that mountain. He then explains that he came into this world as a young master of a bankrupt demonic sect, and to avoid being hunted down, he hid in the mountains and told the girl that his training was finally over. The young man thanks the little fox girl for her company, saying that without her, he would have gone crazy from boredom. Thanks to the lessons from his past life, he became extremely disciplined and trained every day for 20,000 years. But after training for such a long time, he realized something very important about himself. Suddenly, a giant snake appeared before them, staring at them with hungry red eyes. He recognized that it was Wu Linggen, in other words, someone with no spiritual roots for training. The snake then lunges to attack them, claiming that besides his highly trained body, he has nothing else. However, he doesn't feel fear and gets ready to face the creature just with his bare hands. With one hit, he strikes the monster in the face and sends it flying into the air with incredible force. The impact is so strong that the snake's body smashes into a solid rock wall upon collision. Wu Linggen himself is shocked by the outcome, showing that he has no idea about his own strength. Smiling, He suggests to the girl that they have snake meat for dinner tonight. The girl eagerly agrees, and they head off together to enjoy the unexpected meal. Xiao thinks that, as expected, brother Linggen was able to take down the flood dragon with one hit. While he prepares the meat, he hears an angry voice calling the brave young man a thief. A man floating on a sword accuses the duo of stealing the dragon he was just about to defeat. He introduces himself as Xiao Qingho and accuses them of being from the demonic sect because of this shameful act. The hero simply looks at the man with a bored expression, showing no interest in the accusations. In a flurry, the young man denies everything and wonders how the man found out the truth about them. Right after that, he throws himself on the ground and apologizes, saying he didn't intend to take the creature. Xiao glares at them with disdain and points out their identities as a fox demon and a powerless human. Realizing that talking is pointless, the man decides it's time to stop wasting time on them. Without hesitation, he steps forward with his sword, using a powerful technique to eliminate the duo in one go. Xiao is astonished when the hero simply catches the flying sword with his bare hands. The man falls to the ground in complete shock and points at the young man, unable to believe what just happened. With wide eyes, he can't understand how an ordinary boy managed to catch his flying sword. Wu Linggen apologizes for taking his weapon, but explains that he had no choice since the man was about to finish him off. Angered by his lack of respect, the master summons dozens of swords to fly towards them. The young man easily faces the downpour of blades and prepares for the incoming attack. With astonishing speed, he moves across the battlefield, catching all the swords mid-air. He then appears holding the weapons and says he snagged them by instinct, while Xiao looks at him in admiration. The guy is frozen in shock, staring at the young man with pure disbelief. When he sees that he has no chance, he turns around and runs desperately into the forest. Moments later, he returns with an embarrassed smile, saying it was just a huge misunderstanding. The young man politely asks to have his swords back and promises he'll leave as soon as he gets them. However, just as the young man is about to toss the weapons, Qingho prepares a cowardly attack from behind. With a wicked smile on his face, he fires a powerful fireball toward the hero. The attack tears through the forest, destroying everything in its path with impressive force. Wu Linggen agrees to return the weapons and throws them back at the master as he promised. With his body completely burned, the man can't believe his attack did not affect the young man. The fireball simply fizzled around the boy's body without leaving a scratch. Unconcerned about Qingho, he calls out to the girl and tells her they need to go back to cooking. Before they leave, the fox girl approaches Qingho and tells him they need to talk seriously. With a fearsome look, she threatens him, saying she doesn't want to hear any more about what happened there. Terrified, the man agrees with the girl while shaking in fear, sweat pouring down his face. Wu calls Xiao to hurry up and catch up with him, smiling and floating hearts in the air. Qingho watches the duo walk away while the young man carries the giant snake's body with one hand. Kneeling on the ground, he wonders who these mysterious people are and where they came from. Then, with a wicked grin, he thinks that they might be happy now, but it won't last long. He vows to tell the ancient ancestor of the academy everything and make sure these practitioners pay for what they've done. Meanwhile, the girl comments that he defeated fighters and still insists he's an ordinary guy. The young man replies that he won't be a match for a real fighter, and that man was just messing around with them. He says he's an ordinary guy with no spiritual roots who needs to train his body more. As he walks, he wraps the snake's tail around himself, as if it's just another workout. Xiao thinks that although he's so naive, he's really sweet when he acts this thoughtlessly. The scene shifts to a mountainous view, showing the path the duo is taking. They arrive at a dark cave, and Wu Linggen announces that he will enter loaded with food. At the cave entrance, there is already a sign warning of demonic presence and the 10 unforgivable crimes. Inside the cave, a strong man shouts, asking who dares to enter their land. With an innocent smile, the hero replies that he came with the snake meat for their dinner. The man's expression changes completely, and he says that little Linggen has finally come to visit them. Behind bars, everyone gets excited and asks him to pass the meat because they're hungry. The young man explains that they may not seem friendly, but they're his uncles, who care a lot about him. Suddenly, one man, who appears to be the leader, starts to complain about something significant. He's Wu's father, Dr. Linggen, scolding his son for not visiting him in the last 3 hours. The young man explains that he was delayed due to hunting and cooking, and remarks that his dad loves to complain. The man asks if the girl had convinced him to come down from the mountain again, and his son denies it. Angry, the father shouts that he can't leave the mountain at all, because it's too dangerous out there. Wu Ling and Xiao are astonished by the father's exaggerated reaction, as he continues to scream at them. The man says that even after being sealed for 20,000 years, he still remembers people's cunning from the righteous path. He keeps lecturing and asks if his son wants an old man like him to bury his son. The young man lowers his head and apologizes to his father, but it seems he has more to say. Angrily, he shouts that he's tired of hearing the same things for 20,000 years. The father glares silently at his son, stunned and unaware of what he is saying. The young man declares that he no longer wants to be trapped in that forest, even if it means being hunted, injured, or worse. The other men point out that he is naive and that leaving now would be a final mistake, as he is still too weak. The girl interrupts the discussion, revealing that they just faced a fighter from the righteous path. She says the man was in the early spirit stage, but Ling defeated him in one strike. The father wonders how a righteous fighter appeared there, and if his son really has become that strong. However, the young man reminds him that he is still an ordinary person with no spiritual roots. He questions how he will face stronger fighters, even if he has one of their powers. The man insists he shouldn't think he is invincible, just because he defeated one or two fighters. The hero shouts that he is not interested in being invincible, and has a much bigger goal. He explains that only by reaching the stage of strength can he break the barrier and save them all. Angrily, the father asks the other men if they are the ones who told his son this, and they all deny it at once. The young man remembers how his father always protected him, even while being imprisoned for 20,000 years. With determination, he says that now that he has matured, it is his turn to protect his father and family completely. The girl intervenes in the conversation, saying they seem to have forgotten something very important. She explains that since Ling has no demonic aura, people won't be able to discover his true identity. The father still worries and says if he unleashes any demonic aura while trying to break through, it will be all over for him. The young man has already made his decision and tells his father not to blame him as he prepares to leave the cave. The man watches his son leave with a sad but resigned expression, accepting his son's decision. As he is leaving, the father shouts for him to stop and throws something in his direction. The young man catches it in the air, confused, not realizing what his father threw to him. It is a small talisman with his name on it, and a symbol he does not recognize. The father reveals it is the license for the Xuan Academy qualification examination. He says that since his son is determined to go down the mountain, this could be his first stop. The Xuanxin Academy is the best academy for fighters, and all graduates reach the Golden Core stage. The girl asks if it will be more dangerous to go there, but the father explains it is the safest place. Moreover, the academy has many cultivation methods, and it will be the ideal place for his son to find his path. The young man takes the snake meat to cook as he prepares for his new journey. With a huge bag on his back, he bids farewell to everyone, and shouts that he is heading to the Xuanxin Academy. The girl asks how his father got that rare license despite being imprisoned, but he refuses to answer. The man says he can no longer protect his son and needs to find a way to keep him safe. Sending his son to the academy is the best option he can find to ensure the young man's survival. The father then reveals that there is a secret about his son's body he needs to share with her. He asks the nine-tailed fox, which is almost at the emperor level, to protect the young man at all costs. The girl understands the importance of the task but raises a very practical question. With a bored look, she asks who will bring them food. As the two leave, the other men are in despair over the question and stare at the girl with wide eyes. The father shouts for them to eat quickly because this will be their last good meal for a long time. The fox says goodbye to the old man and prepares to leave, but he calls out to her for a final warning. Disgusted, she asks what he wants and warns him that she won't bring food to anyone there anymore. The man warns her that the world is about to collapse and that time is not on their side. He says the hidden power within Linggen must awaken soon because their time is running out. The scene shifts to the entrance of the Xuanxin Academy, a majestic place filled with ambitious youth in spiritual cultivation. The guards shout at the applicants, demanding they keep order and not cut in line under any circumstances. All the young people prepare for the test, cards in hand, eagerly waiting for the examination to start. The hero carries his hefty belongings and looks around, hoping not to attract attention. One of the teachers explains that everyone must insert their cards into the mouth of the stone lion at the entrance. The statue will verify the validity of the permits and check for any demonic spies among them. The teacher calls the first person in line, urging him to hurry and start the verification process. The young man approaches the lion and cautiously inserts his card into the statue's mouth, feeling a bit tense. A blue light glows from the statue, indicating that the card is valid and the applicant is exempted. The teacher allows him to enter, and the young man thanks him. He feels relieved to have passed the first test. Wu Ying becomes very anxious and wonders if the card his father gave him is fake. He tries to calm himself, thinking that since he is not practicing demonic arts, he shouldn't be exposed. Suddenly, someone screams in pain nearby, causing everyone to turn to see what happened in the line. A demonic practitioner has been discovered by the statue, which has closed onto his hand and won't let go. One of the applicants explains that the lion is made of a special material that won't release its victim once it detects something suspicious. The man begs for his life, saying he merely forged the card and is not from a demonic sect. The teacher calls the next person and points to the hero, stating that it is finally his turn. He says the young man with the large bag looks the most suspicious among them and calls him to insert his card. Trembling with fear, the young man approaches the stone lion and prepares for the test that could determine his future. Suddenly, the ground begins to shake violently, and the other applicants wonder if it's an earthquake. The statue clamps down on the hero's arm, causing him unbearable pain. However, to everyone's surprise, the card is accepted, and the teacher says, "Everything is fine." The young man feels relieved and breathes a sigh of relief, celebrating his success in passing the test without being discovered by the statue. But the lion's eyes turn red, and it seems very angry with the young man. The entire statue begins glowing red, and the hero does not understand what is happening. With astonishing force, the statue starts to break and bites down on his arm harder. Suddenly, the lion's head flies off and collides with the young man's other arm, leaving him in complete shock. Without even trying, the young man ends up smashing the statue completely to pieces in front of everyone. The teacher stands helplessly at the scene while the hero looks at the destruction he caused. Feeling embarrassed, he bends down to start collecting the pieces, apologizing for the incident. The teacher screams angrily that he is also from a demonic sect and orders him to be arrested immediately. Surrounding him, the guards ask why he is being detained if his card has been approved. The man explains that the statue attacks automatically when it feels any kind of demonic energy nearby. The young man panics, thinking he may have become stained with his family's aura from living with them for so long. Just as he is about to be taken away, the fox girl appears and screams for everyone to stop immediately. She says they are negligent and all captivated by her stunning beauty. The teacher asks why a member of the beast tribe is interfering in the academy's affairs. Ignoring the question, she approaches the young man and shields his arm. She declares that she is Lincoln's guardian and asks why she shouldn't participate in this. The other applicants are surprised and comment that he has a very important family background. The fox girl tells the man to look closely at the source of the admission card the young man is holding. The teacher looks down and recognizes that the card belongs to the first mythical clan in the world. She confirms that it's from the clan that was destroyed 20,000 years ago, and that Linggen is the only surviving heir. One applicant wonders how the world's strongest clan was destroyed by a demonic sect. Another young man explains that the clan's name literally was the first clan in the world. The fox girl then says that it is understandable that the card is tainted with demonic energy. The teacher believes the boy inherited the legacy by mistake and needs to handle the situation very carefully. He allows the duo to leave, but warns them not to do anything suspicious, to which the hero assures them they will behave. The fox girl pulls the young man into the academy, and they finally start their new journey. She tells him not to be so nervous, but the young man is still very anxious about the whole situation. She advises him to act as usual, and no one will suspect his true identity. They enter the academy gates and find themselves in a massive courtyard full of other students. From the top of a tower, a man observes the new students with a serious and solemn expression. It's Mano, one of the academy's teachers, and he seems to be assessing the newcomers who have arrived. Another teacher approaches and asks how the new students are this year. Mano replies that they aren't bad and that there are some standout students among them. He points out Ba from the Yujin group and T. Shanka from the Huan clan as good examples. The young man approaches Ba from the Huan clan and invites her to cooperate together. Angrily, she tells him to back off and rejects him without even looking at his face. Others comment that she's the genius who reached the foundational stage at the age of 11. Ba thinks her father was right, and that none of the newcomers here are worthy of her attention. Mayani agrees that the quality of the new students isn't bad, but he feels something is off. Suddenly, he sees the hero hurling heavy weights into the air and wonders what exactly is happening. The other teacher laughs, saying he probably just passed the chi elimination stage. Mayani replies that he is an intriguing character who probably won't succeed in the first test. He then jumps from the tower and flies towards the new students to start the admission test. The applicants are impressed by the teacher's ability to fly as if it were something normal. He introduces himself as the one responsible for evaluating the new students and explains the next step. Only those who pass all the tests will be eligible to become disciples of the academy. The hero feels like he has seen that teacher before but can't remember where. The man shouts at the young man, asking why he is staring at him in such a strange way. Feeling embarrassed, he tries to clarify himself, but ends up saying something that grabs the teacher's attention. He points out a shiny wire attached to the back of the man and says it reflects a bit. Everyone looks up and sees that the teacher is hanging by the wire like a puppet. Suddenly, the wire snaps and the man falls to the ground in front of all the astonished students. He approaches the young man and says he looks forward to seeing his results in the next test. Then, the wire yanks him back into the air, and the teacher becomes extremely angry at the embarrassing situation. He shouts at his assistant for not stopping at the right place and threatens him with a deadly glare. The girl with white hair wonders how an academic teacher cannot fly properly. Another teacher thinks the young man is in trouble for having insulted such a despicable man. Suddenly, the teacher rips off his shirt and shows his muscles to all the students. He says that was just to lighten the mood, and that now the first round of the test will begin. The young man wonders if the trainer is crazy, and if he really needs to rip his shirt to start the test. One of the students recognizes the trainer's aura and muscles and is shocked by the discovery. He reveals that he possesses the legendary Holy Punching Bag body and a very rare ability. This ability absorbs enemy attacks and converts the energy for the user's personal use. In other words, he is practically immune to attacks from people of the same level or lower. The hero feels terrified by the idea that he must enjoy being hit to become stronger. The trainer explains that each of them will hit him, and he will evaluate their potential. He stares at the young man and says that since the test is under his control, he will make sure the young man fails. He points to the young man and says he will be the first to participate in the test. The hero steps forward and asks the trainer to get ready because he is very strong. The trainer laughs and says that even a spiritual practitioner couldn't hurt him. He continues to mock the young man, saying that someone as weak as him could never hit him. But before he finishes his sentence, the hero lands a devastating punch. The blow is so powerful that the trainer flies away and destroys part of the academy with his body. All the other candidates are stunned, staring at the scene with their eyes wide open. The other teacher is also amazed to see the destruction caused by the young man's punch. The young man looks through the hole in the wall and sees the chaos he has created. With a pale face and cold sweat dripping from him, he realizes he has overdone it with his strength and that everything is over for him now. He finds the trainer lying among the rubble, completely unconscious and defeated. The man is out cold, foam coming out of his mouth, indicating the power of the blow he took. Without caring about the destruction, the hero turns around and asks if this means he passed the test. The other students are terrified by the scene and back away from the young man, afraid of his power. A fox jumps from one rooftop to another to get closer and observe the chaos up close. With a proud smile, she thinks it was expected that her brother would attract attention from the start. The other candidates wonder how the trainer was defeated if he was supposed to be immune to attacks. The white-haired girl realizes she is not the only one hiding her true strength there. The colorful trainer approaches his fallen colleague, looking impressed by what happened. He says the power of the young man's punch was close to the ultimate level in the spirit stage. Suddenly, the fallen man starts to rise, and his eyes open with renewed fury. He quickly stands and glares at the hero with eyes full of anger and determination. He runs toward the young man, grabs him, and begins yelling at him for attacking. He complains that the young man hit him when he wasn't ready, and furthermore, he struck him in the face instead of the stomach. The chubby young man from the Tani sect realizes that the trainer was unprepared, which is why he couldn't withstand the blow. The man says the previous test doesn't count, and that he will expel him if he uses any tricks again. Then he activates his special ability, Holy Fixed Punching Bag. The other young man explains that this is the ultimate defense that turns all power into pure defense. The trainer says he uses this technique in final tests, and that even if he had all the power in the world, he wouldn't budge. Then the hero lands another strong punch right in the center of the trainer's chest. The punch sinks into the trainer's chest, but he doesn't move an inch. The other students admire this and comment that he didn't move at all. However, the colorful trainer realizes that something is very wrong with the scene and starts to doubt. The colorful trainer reveals that his colleague is actually unconscious while standing from the pain of the blow. To avoid further trouble, he announces that everyone has passed the first round of the exam. The students celebrate their agreement while wondering what world the hero belongs to. The white-haired young man approaches and says he didn't expect to find another strong person there. He introduces himself as Jiang from the Huan sect and says his hobby is double spirit cultivation. He cautiously accepts the hero as a brother and wonders if the young man wants anything more. The chubby young man from the Tani sect approaches and also asks to be accepted as a younger brother. He offers to provide accurate information in exchange for the protection of the two strong young men. The boy says he gathers information but has no data on the mysterious hero. With a friendly smile, he asks which faction the young man belongs to. The hero feels nervous and stutters that he is a lone cultivator with no affiliation. Suddenly, the white-haired girl approaches, and everyone steps back to let her pass. She says he likes to be the center of attention, and that she will show him the difference between him and a true genius. After challenging him, she turns and walks away, leaving the young man in complete confusion. A charming young man watches the scene from a distance with a mysterious look. The colorful trainer shouts, "Don't celebrate too early, the next match is about to begin." He presses a red button on a remote control, and something unexpected happens to everyone. The floor under their feet opens up, and they fall into a dark room directly beneath them. The candidates wonder what's happening as they feel the floor shaking violently. They cling to each other to prevent falling as the entire room starts to shake. It turns out the room is a giant metallic cube floating in the middle of the academy. Inside the cube, mechanical statues with red eyes prepare to attack the candidates. The armored robots line up, ready to start the next test. The students are surrounded by the giant machines with nowhere to escape or hide. The colorful trainer introduces himself as Huang Lu Hong and says he will be the examiner for the second round. He reveals that all the puppet mechanisms were created by his job pavilion. During the test, the machines will continuously attack with hidden weapons inside their bodies. The test will continue until the incense stick burns out, and the longer they last, the higher their scores will be. He lights the incense stick on the unconscious trainer and says, "Luck won't help the weak." The hero faces the robots as the trainer explains that all the weapons are real. The robots' eyes light up with a blue glow and prepare to fire at the students. With a wicked smile, the trainer welcomes them to the candidate graveyard and starts the test. The robots shoot beams of light, and the students run helplessly to dodge the attacks. The machines fire lasers from their mouths, creating total chaos inside the test room. Many candidates get injured and give up on the test while others fight to survive. The trainer watches the scene, remarking that the young man from the Huan sect isn't too bad. The white-haired young man uses a special technique to protect himself from attacks from behind. He prides himself on the fact that, thanks to his technique, no one can attack him from behind unexpectedly. But suddenly, a beam hits him directly in the chest, leaving him stunned by the frontal attack. The trainer claims he didn't say anything and looks away, embarrassed by his previous comment. The colorful trainer is shocked to see another promising candidate among the newcomers. The white-haired girl proves to be surprisingly strong, dodging the attacks with great agility. She is surprised to see that the hero is in the middle of the battlefield without moving. He simply breaks the ground beneath his feet and bends to avoid being hit by the beams. With a relaxed sigh, he thinks that this way, he won't be hit by the robots. The trainer shouts in his face, saying that the test is about speed, not hiding like a coward. He threatens to expel him if he breaks any of his precious robots again. The white-haired girl says she will get the young man out of there and prepares to intervene, but the other trainer grabs the remote control and says she doesn't need to waste her time on the boy. He lights a cigarette and says he will make the young man feel the true power of the puppets. With an evil smile, he presses the button and activates the robot's strongest combat mode. The machines start trembling and breaking apart in front of all the frightened candidates. Pieces of the robots begin to join together, transforming into a larger machine. A blinding light shines during the merging process, and a giant new robot emerges in the arena. The hero is astonished and wonders if this is the transformation he knows. The chubby young man screams that it's a Yan-Rang fusion, and that the robots are now much stronger. He also reveals that the puppet's weapons are coated with a deadly and dangerous poison. The boy adds that he noticed the poison only because he feels extremely dizzy and close to losing consciousness. The trainer says this isn't a lesson, they took the test too far. The other man asks if he doesn't want that arrogant boy to succeed in the test, and he agrees. The robots fire shot after shot, and the hero moves quickly to dodge them. He gracefully avoids the attacks, leaving the other candidates behind. The young man looks back and realizes that others are being hit by the attacks he dodged. He feels guilty for dragging them into this chaos and apologizes for his mistake. The trainer threatens to send more robots after him, but the young man seems to have a plan in mind. He is surrounded by the giant machines and prepares for the final attack from the robot. With an aura of energy surrounding him, he faces the machines with determination and courage. The trainers warn him that if he harms any more robots, he will be immediately disqualified. The others realize that all the robots are focusing on him, and they feel relieved. The white-haired girl thinks he's in trouble and says that her father was right about him. The hero stands still in the middle of the robots and seems to focus on an attack. He tells himself that this is the only way to resolve the situation and gets ready to move. With a powerful jump, he launches into the air and flies toward the giant robot. He delivers a devastating blow to the robot's head, completely destroying it with his strength. The trainers are shocked, wondering how he he managed to fly like that. The other candidates also do not understand and question what world he is currently in. The chubby young man explains that he is not using a spiritual aura to fly, but something else. He is merely using the power of his legs to jump and stay in the air for a while. Everyone is amazed by the young man's physical strength and cannot believe what they see. The trainer says that no matter his strength, there is a limit, and he won't stay in the air for long. The robots are ordered to attack the location where the young man will land to surprise him. The hero senses danger and wonders what to do since he cannot destroy the robots. Then an idea strikes him, and he uses one of the robots as a foothold to launch himself elsewhere. With a quick movement, he steps on the spears and changes direction in the air to evade the attack. He lands in front of the girl with white hair, who is staring at him with a surprised expression. Kneeling before her, the young man smiles and asks what she will do now that they are together. She blushes and wonders if he is one of those perverts her father warned her about. Suddenly, he hides behind her and uses her as a human shield against the robot attacks. The girl's swords block the beams, and she screams at him for using her as a shield. The young man apologizes, saying it's the only way he could think of to stay alive. Angry, she attacks him with her sword, but he manages to dodge the strike with a swift motion. She says she will finish him off first, and glares at him with a look of pure anger and determination. Suddenly, the hero screams for her to stop and points to the flames that are approaching them. The other students watch the scene and comment that the hero won't stop dodging the attacks. The coach laughs and says that now there's nowhere for him to escape, with all these attacks coming from every direction. The two coaches observe from a distance, waiting to see how the young man will get out of this. Suddenly, the incense stick in the coach's mouth falls, and a light bulb goes off in one of their minds. The colorful coach has a plan and looks at the hero with a cunning glance. The girl with white hair wonders if he has given up, but the young man seems to have another idea in mind. He approaches her with a smile and appears to have a plan to deal with the situation. He begins to breathe deeply, gathering a huge amount of energy within his body. The coaches wonder what he is doing, as it seems he is out of options. Suddenly, he blows with all his might and creates a powerful windstorm that strikes everyone in the room. The other students are swept away by the wind and struggle to avoid being thrown away. The coach thinks it's just a trick and that he won't be able to do anything against them. The storm messes up the coach's hair, and he's in a terrible state. He approaches the young man and asks if he can cut in for a moment to say something. The young man points to the incense stick and says that the test incense seems to have gone out. The colorful coach realizes that the blowing hastened the burning of the incense and feels shocked. The chubby man says that the hero has a deeper goal than his mysterious actions. He says the young man is trying to benefit all the other candidates in the room. The girl with white hair feels embarrassed and gets angry over the awkward situation he caused, shouting that this is not the end before vanishing. Feeling embarrassed about what she witnessed, the hero wonders what he did wrong for her to react this way. The other students are injured but grateful for the young man's help during that tough test. The colorful coach smiles and says it has been many years since he met such an entertaining trainee. Suddenly, the academy dean appears and says that this year's evaluation is very critical. The students are shocked to see the academy dean and can't believe what they are seeing. They marvel at how he doesn't seem very trustworthy, and his wig looks like it's about to fall off his head. The chubby man reveals that he is the famous Red Shuri, a man feared by many. The other students are confused and don't understand the story behind the dean. They wonder why his red hair is fake, if he is such a legendary and frightening figure. The dean approaches the hero and asks him for his name to know who the talented young man is. From above, the fox-haired girl watches the scene with worry and concern for the young man. She wonders why the dean suddenly appeared and how she will fix the situation now. She uses telepathy to talk to the young man, and he hears her voice in his mind, completely confused. She warns him that he has knocked off the dean's wig and needs to return it as soon as possible. The coach approaches the dean and tries to calm the situation, asking him to be magnanimous. He says that if the coach is as strong as the dean, there should be no problem with the young man. The hero runs toward the dean at incredible speed and catches the wig mid-air. He returns it to the dean's head, shocking the man with the young man's speed. The dean finds it hard to believe what just happened and thinks he wouldn't have noticed if it weren't for his sharp eyes. The young man smiles and says that he caught what he dropped, and there's no need to thank him. The coach looks stunned to see that the hero returned the wig. The dean is left with a flag stuck on his head and appears to be seriously injured. The fox-haired girl cries out desperately, urging them to understand the difference between a wig and hidden weapons. The coach grabs the young man and accuses him of attacking the dean, but the young man insists he must have made a mistake. The dean says that simple things like this cannot hurt him, but he seems to be in a lot of pain. The coach points out that blood is bleeding from him, but the dean says it's part of the test. The hero praises the dean for not being affected, but the fox-haired girl knows he's only pretending. The dean tries to pull the weapon from his head, but ends up causing more serious injuries to himself. Blood gushes everywhere, and the hero is shocked by the strange scene. Then, he loses consciousness and falls face first on the ground in front of all the students, who feel terrified by the sight. The coach runs to help the dean and picks him up in his arms, desperate about the situation. The students comment that he seems like an old man who knows only how to talk a lot, but has no real power. The colorful coach announces that everyone has passed the second round and that the next test will be tomorrow. He orders that the dean be taken to the pharmacy for urgent treatment. The students wonder if they have really passed the evaluation and feel that something is off. One of them says it feels like they forgot something important, but they can't remember what it is. Suddenly, the robots begin to attack again, and one of the students screams for Teacher Hong to stop them. The teacher, who has been insulted, watches from afar with an evil smile and a plan in mind. He thinks he didn't expect the young man to give up so easily and prepares to take action. The other students complain that they almost perished during the test and wonder how they survived. The scene shifts to the students' dormitory, where everyone is preparing for the next day. The fox-tailed girl finds the story's hero training and asks him why he isn't resting. He says he needs to enhance his skills to succeed in tomorrow's evaluation. She agrees that the upcoming evaluation is crucial, because only in a better class will they receive more resources. However, she reminds him that a balance between work and rest is also important for him. She offers to use oil to massage his muscles, but he becomes suspicious. The girl believes Linggen is the most ambitious among them, but he seems uncomfortable with her. He tells her to be careful, and she takes the chance to hug him tightly and gets closer. With a victorious smile, she thinks her plan has finally succeeded, and she has gotten what she wants. Outside, the girl with white hair is getting ready to go to bed, but she hears something strange. She feels angry at the story's hero and vows that he will pay for what he did to her. She hears noise coming from the young man's room and approaches to check what's happening. Out of curiosity, she wonders where the sound is coming from and gets close to the window to spy. She looks through the window and is shocked when she sees the shadows of the hero and the fox-tailed girl in an awkward position, feeling frightened. Inside the room, the young man is jumping rope with a heavy iron chain and says he forgot it. The girl says she emptied the wine to treat the external injuries and is preparing to clean the mess. She grabs a piece of cloth and bends down to wipe the spilled liquid off the floor. Suddenly, she steps on the liquid and slips, falling to the ground in an unintentional and funny way. Outside, the girl with white hair thinks she should save the other girl from the situation. She sees the shadow of the fox girl approaching the window and thinks it's too late to save her. She covers her eyes with her hands and blushes from the embarrassing scene she imagines happening there. The hero asks if she is all right, and she replies that she just fell on the floor accidentally. She says her clothes got stained and stands up, revealing the damage caused by the wine. The hero blushes from the scene and steps back so as not to look at her in that situation. He offers to find her some clean clothes, and she thanks him for his concern. Suddenly, the room's door breaks open with a strong kick, and someone enters angrily. The girl with white hair bursts into the room and accuses him of being a killer demon, demanding him to surrender. She sees the young man bare-chested and the girl in tattered clothes, feeling complete shock. She accuses him of defiling the other girl's body. The story's hero feels confused by the accusation of being a killer demon and realizes what is happening. He panics and thinks she discovered his true identity as a cult member. She says he doesn't need to say another word, preparing to attack the young man with her weapon. The girl uses her Linggen sword technique and creates an aura of energy around herself. She launches an attack from 10,000 swords at the hero with all her strength. The young man says he has no choice but to anger her to defend himself against the attack. He moves with astonishing speed and easily dodges all the strikes. The girl feels shocked by his speed and can't believe what she's seeing. She says this isn't all she has and prepares to use a more powerful technique. With a battle cry, she unleashes a sword strike that pierces the sky towards him. Her eyes sparkle with blue light as she focuses all her energy into the attack. A wave of energy rushes towards the young man as he prepares to meet it head-on. He strikes the wave forcefully, combining power in his arm, and completely destroys it. The girl feels horror when she sees that he broke the defensive line of her sword scroll with his body. Suddenly, she feels something behind her and turns to see what is happening. The story's hero appears behind her and delivers a strike that wipes her recent memory. She collapses to the ground, unconscious, and the young man looks at her, unsure of what to do in this situation. He apologizes and says he can't reveal his identity, so he had to do that. The technique he used channels energy to the palm and directs it to the enemy's brain. This leads to altering the target's memory, leaving them completely disoriented and without recent memories. The fox girl warns him to take her to her room before someone finds them and they get in trouble. The young man carries the girl on his shoulders and rushes her to her dorm as fast as he can. He runs across the academy rooftops under the moonlight, so no one will see him there. He places her down near what he thinks is her room and prepares to leave. Suddenly she starts to wake up, and he panics, unsure of what to do with her. He strikes her again to wipe her memory, but she keeps waking up, making him anxious. He thinks he almost got caught and feels relieved he managed to wipe her memory, but then he realizes a bigger problem and surrenders to the situation he's in. He has no idea where the girl's dorm is and doesn't know how to return her to her room. From a distance, the chubby man watches the scene and wonders about the relationship between the two. He opens the door of an empty room and lays her on the bed so she can rest. He notices the room is unoccupied and assumes she might be staying there. The girl begins to wake up, questioning what's happening and where she is now. The hero strikes her with another memory strike, rendering her unconscious again. He apologizes once more and says he can't let her discover his identity. The girl with white hair wakes up without remembering anything that happened the previous night. He feels anxious as he has never used the technique 3 times in a row on the same person before. He thinks it's better to feel guilty than to get discovered and face consequences from his family line. He is surprised by the mess in the girl's room and didn't expect this from her. Suddenly, he notices something on the floor and becomes alert about what he found there. He sees his wet footprints on the ground and panics about the trace he left behind. He grabs a mop and begins to clean the floor desperately to leave no traces. He realizes he left marks all over the room and decides to clean everything before leaving. In a glade in the forest, a young man with his head covered sits quietly, drinking tea under the moonlight. He senses someone's presence and asks the person not to hide and to come out immediately. The teacher he had offended appears and praises the talented young man for being easy to find. The covered young man says that nothing escapes his eyes and asks why he was hiding. The man turns to him and asks for help dealing with a new student who has been bothering him. The young man questions why he should help, and the teacher offers his support in the upcoming elections. He promises to support the young man to become the next head of the family if he assists him. The covered young man agrees to the deal and asks who the student he will face is. The teacher reveals it is the arrogant boy, Wong, and the young man smiles wickedly. He says he will rig the draw, and that the talented young man only needs to unintentionally take him out. The young man agrees to the plan and reminds the teacher not to forget his promise. The teacher calls the boy again and asks what else he needs. The man says he needs help with something else and discloses an unexpected situation. His leg is trapped by a green water dragon, and he can't free himself alone. He begs the young man to save him, and the young man wonders how someone like him became a teacher. With no choice, he decides to intervene and prepares to attack the dragon with his sword. He cuts off the dragon's tail and frees the teacher from the creature that held him. With a powerful strike, he completely destroys the dragon and saves the man from danger. He says, "It's over," and the teacher falls from the sky toward him with a look of relief. The young man opens his arms to receive him, and the man thanks him for his strength and bravery. He asks the teacher to let him go. The young man throws him into the water and walks away, leaving the teacher alone and wet in the lake. Meanwhile, the masked young man finds a spirit and says it has finally appeared. The spirit warns the young man that the hero is not what he thinks and that he is very powerful. It says the strength the young man has shown is something he will have difficulty achieving. The young man replies that there is no one in the world who can defeat him, and the spirit seems skeptical of his confidence. It reveals that it is a time traveler and therefore knows things that others do not. It says that it was an ordinary student in another world before being reincarnated in this place. It was transported to this world after being hit by a truck in an accident. He became a prominent young man from the Xiao family and began his journey. He stumbles and falls face first into an examiner and discovers a mysterious ring inside. The ring contains the spirit of Master Dan, who helped him become stronger and more powerful. He believes that with his hero model, no one can stop him on his path. He says the hero's destiny is to be defeated by his hand, even if there is no conflict between them. Elsewhere, the special young man sneezes for no apparent reason and wonders why. He doesn't think much of it and decides to leave since the room is clean and neat. He exits the room and carefully closes the door so as not to wake the sleeping girl. He says goodbye to her and walks away, leaving her alone in the room to rest peacefully. The masked young man returns to his room and finds the door open, causing him to suspect something. He enters the room and realizes that someone had been there while he was out, and he wonders about it. He approaches the bed and is surprised to find the white-haired girl sleeping there. He can't believe what he sees and wonders how she got into his room. He blushes at the unexpected situation and doesn't know how to handle it. He watches her sleep and recognizes her as the dream princess of a younger generation. He remembers that it is not the time to fall in love, and tries to focus on the current situation. He approaches the cabinet and takes a potion to help the girl recover. He thinks that this is the girl who cleans his room and sleeps on his bed, which can only mean one thing. With a confident look, he concludes she must be in love with him and feels excited. He remembers that he read comic stories in his past life and how the heroines always fall in love. He wonders if the white-haired girl is the heroine of his destiny and gets closer to her. He realizes she hasn't woken up yet and questions why she is delayed. The spirit explains that her consciousness was damaged, which is why she can't wake up. The young man concludes that she must have expended a lot of energy cleaning his room, and that's why she fainted. He says he learned first aid in his past life and will help her recover. He kneels beside her and prepares to perform mouth-to-mouth resuscitation to awaken her. The girl begins to wake up and wonders what is happening and where she is. He leans in to kiss her, but she wakes up and sees him hovering over her with a strange expression. Suddenly, the hero hears an explosion and turns to see what is happening. The girl pushes him away and screams for him not to let her see him again. He wonders why she attacked him if she clearly shows feelings towards him. He concludes that the women of that world are naturally reserved and that he was too quick. The spirit asks why he is so sure that she loves him and not just that she entered the wrong room. With a confident smile, he says it is because he was born to be a successful hero. Outside, the girl wonders how she ended up in someone else's bed and feels confused. She vaguely remembers her encounter with the hero, but the details are unclear. Suddenly, she recalls everything and realizes he is from a dangerous demonic sect. She accuses him of using bodies to cultivate and is shocked by her discovery. She thinks she never expected to stumble upon such a big secret and realizes the danger she faces. With a determined smile, she vows to find evidence that proves he is from a demonic sect. She screams his name into the night and swears she will take revenge for what he did to her. Other students hear the screams and wonder what happened between the two. The next day, everyone gathers in the performance theater for the next test. They complain about the delay and wonder why no instructors have shown up yet. The hero trains with massive weights and says he needs more training. The fox girl reassures him that with his strength, he will definitely secure a place in the higher tier. The white-haired girl looks at him angrily and calls him a braggart for showing off like that. Other students wonder why she seems excited to see him and what happened. The chubby boy smiles and says that no one there knows the full story between the two and claims their relationship is deeper than they think, preparing to tell everything. But before he can speak, the young man in the hood threatens him with a sword at his neck. He tells him not to tarnish the girl's reputation, and the chubby boy agrees, terrified by the threat. The young man throws him to the ground and walks away, leaving the chubby boy scared and confused. The others wonder why he got so angry and conclude that he must be fond of her. The young man thinks that the girl is the heroine of his destiny, and that she will not get involved with an ordinary person. Suddenly, one of the instructors yells for everyone to be quiet and pay attention. The students turn their gaze to see 3 instructors standing on the stage, ready to begin the test. With a leap, they jump onto the stage and prepare to give the instructions for the next phase. They announce that the 3rd evaluation is about to begin, and all the students pay attention. The instructor explains that in this round, they will test them in real combat without restrictions. The school principal, wearing a new wig, watches everything closely for personal evaluation. The hero notices the principal's new wig, and the fox girl tells him to be quiet to avoid trouble. The colorful instructor presses a button, and a strange machine appears in the middle of the stage. He explains that everyone must draw fight numbers to determine the fighting pairs. The students line up one by one to put their hands inside the machine and get a number. The hero approaches and prepares to get his number and learn about his opponent. He puts his hand inside the machine and feels something strange happen to the paper he picked. The instructor he hates gives the signal to start, and a sharp blade emerges from the machine. The blade cuts the paper in his hand, and he realizes that something is very wrong with the draw. He looks at the paper in his hand and sees the number 38, not understanding what it is. The instructor continues to laugh and seems satisfied with the results of his evil plan. The scene shifts to the fighting arena, where the hero prepares to face his opponent. The instructor brags about how he managed to make the hero draw the number he wanted, and says he didn't become a trainer for nothing, that his plan will succeed perfectly. The young man in the hood says he is not in the same group as the hero, and the instructor laughs. He clarifies that this young man has some power, but he didn't intentionally place him in the same group. He wanted someone to test the hero's capabilities before he faces him personally. The hero sees his opponent's shadow and wonders who his opponent will be in the fight. He approaches to see a massive, muscular man standing before him with a look of contempt. The man calls the hero weak and says he should surrender before the fight begins. The chubby boy recognizes the man and is shocked to see who his friend's first opponent is. He reveals that the man is Wang Tiju, a famous and fearsome fighter from the martial arts world. The man says he has followed the hero's previous assessments and is not impressed at all. He calls him trash with little natural power and looks down on him for his lack of skill. He boasts that he is at the pinnacle of Shu refinement and threatens to take him out with one blow. The fox girl feels angry due to the provocation and prepares to intervene in the fight. The man challenges her and asks if she wants to fight him now instead of the young man. The other students are eager to see the fight and wonder if the hero will succeed. Suddenly, a wave of energy radiates from the hero, pushing everyone away from him. The girl is inwardly astonished at how polite he is towards his opponent, but he says what he said is correct. The man says he knows the difference between them. He should kneel and plead. The hero prepares to respond and faces the man with a serious and stern look, saying that despite his weakness, he has reasons to continue fighting. He refuses to surrender. The man stares at him with red eyes of anger and prepares for the upcoming battle. He tells the young man to get ready to be defeated in the arena and starts to leave. The fox girl praises the hero for his bravery, and he feels embarrassed by her compliment. The killer meets with the teacher and the young man in the robe to discuss the plan. He says that if he takes him out, he needs to be placed in the first section, and the teacher assures him that he will do that. He promises that he will make the boy understand how strong he is and that he will defeat him. The teacher hopes that the hero is not taken out in the first round and laughs evilly. He announces that the draw is over and calls for the first new student to the fighting arena. The white-haired girl is the first one called, and everyone is excited to see her fight. Her opponent is the young man with the white hair, who again calls her for double cultivation. The other students are angry at his boldness and shout for him to be thrown off the stage. They throw food at him, but he dodges them, and the attacks hit the teacher. The man complains that he dodged the blows, but the attacks hit him, and he gets angry at the situation. The young man in the robe watches the scene and promises to remember the boy's name because of his interest in the girl. The teacher wonders how they became so close so quickly, and the young man says it's the hero's aura. The dean of the academy asks them to cut the acting and announces the beginning of the first match of the tournament. The students prepare for the fight, while the teacher is covered in food and dirt. The white-haired girl gets ready to fight with all her strength, facing her opponent. The young man with the white hair boasts about his strength and prepares for the upcoming bout. He faces the girl and says this is exactly what he wanted to happen. He says she doesn't understand the power of the Hun sect and shows her his true abilities. He prepares to use a special technique, the Phantom Iron Mountain Fall. With a swift move, he creates shadow copies to confuse the girl in the arena. The chubby boy is amazed and says he is using quick moves to create the copies. He says if she can't tell which one is his real body, then she will never defeat him. The girl faces him with a serious look and prepares for the upcoming attack. She notices that all the copies spread their legs in a strange way and gets an idea. She strikes him in a very sensitive area, and he screams in pain, revealing his real body. He calls her a B times T for having attacked him there, and she glares at him with a look of disdain. He says he has previously harassed others, so he was ready for that blow. Shocked by his audacity, she wonders how he could take pride in such behavior. She prepares to attack again, and he says that since she didn't accept his goodwill, he won't show mercy and will use all his power to defeat her in battle. He launches an energy ball in her direction and gets ready for the final attack. He runs around her, creating more shadow clones to confuse her again. The hero wonders why he doesn't just throw a chi ball directly at her. The chubby young man explains that the higher the practitioner's level, the farther their chi can reach. He realizes that his father and the fox girl are very strong and is shocked by this discovery. The shadow clones fire energy balls at her from all sides. She catches the energy balls and asks him if that's all he has to show. He says the show must stop and readies himself for the next attack more seriously. She warns him not to underestimate her and prepares for what's coming in the fight. He attacks her from behind, but she spins and dodges the strike with a quick and agile move. He boasts about his ability to control the chi ball, claiming she stands no chance of winning. He throws the ball at her, but she catches it with her hands effortlessly. She's surprised at how easy it was to catch the attack and glares at him with disdain. He launches more balls, and she gracefully evades them all in the battlefield. The teachers are astonished by her ability to control spiritual energy. The chubby young man explains that it's a secret technique of the Huan sect that controls energy. The girl with white hair gears up for the next attack and faces him with determination. She's angry for having to use her sword against such a despicable person. She unleashes a powerful attack towards him, preparing to end the fight. He protects himself with an energy barrier, but she cuts through it with her sharp sword. His pants tear in the middle of the fight, leaving him embarrassed by the awkward situation. He is shocked that she managed to break his energy ball so easily. The chubby young man falls to the ground, defeated, while the girl with white hair wins the first fight of the tournament. The hero is stunned by her ability to control energy and wonders how she did it. The teacher announces that the girl has won the match, and the audience celebrates her victory. She glares at the defeated boy with a look of contempt and turns away to leave the arena. The hero ponders if this is what it's really like fighting between practitioners. Suddenly, a girl gets hit by a giant chicken leg and falls to the ground. The hero turns and sees a girl with pink hair looking at him in admiration. She says that the girl with white hair is number one among the younger generation of practitioners. The girl with white hair hears the compliments and wishes she could be as strong as her one day. The hero admires the size of the girl, while the fox girl appears jealous. She turns and strikes the fox girl in the face with her chest, leaving the fox girl shocked. The fox girl realizes the hero likes that and gets a strange expression on her face. The girl with pink hair gazes at the chicken leg, looking very hungry. She asks if the hero wants to eat, and his mouth waters at the food. He says he has trained a lot since yesterday and is really hungry after all that effort. The fox girl wonders what she should do and can't believe a stranger understands him better. The hero starts eating the chicken leg, and the fox girl is stunned by the scene. The teacher orders the defeated boy to be taken away to prepare for the next match in the tournament. The hero eats and asks for the name of the girl with pink hair who helped him. She introduces herself as Marang Chan, a student who entered the academy last year. The fox girl asks if she's here to compete against the new students, and the girl denies it. She explains that she failed and is therefore taking the entrance exam again. The hero says she doesn't look nervous, and she replies that if she fails, she will be expelled. The chubby young man reveals that the girl comes from a famous family of renowned alchemists. Her family members are known everywhere and hold great respect. She developed a technique that combines chemistry and cooking to produce powerful food. The hero is shocked to learn that the meat he ate was actually a spirit grain. He feels embarrassed that he ate her flesh, but she says it's not a problem. She says she can't stand seeing someone hungry and looks at him with a sweet smile. The chubby young man is fascinated by her kindness, while the fox girl is jealous of the scene. He calls her an angel, and the fox girl shouts that it's not that important and he's exaggerating. Suddenly, the girl with white hair approaches, and everyone moves aside to let her pass. The girl with pink hair approaches her and requests her autograph with sparkling eyes. She looks at her with an expression of admiration and respect for her power and skills. The girl with white hair refuses her signature and warns her to be careful when making friends. The hero and the fox girl watch the scene, not understanding the girl's stance. She approaches the hero and threatens him, saying she'll find out what he did. The other students wonder what happened and if what the chubby young man said was true. The teacher announces the next match and calls the hero to the combat arena. The girl with white hair glares at him with a challenging look and prepares for the fight. She asks him if he's close to the other girl, and he says he only knows her. She begs him to introduce her because she wants to become strong like the girl with white hair. Suddenly, the teacher calls the girl with pink hair to the arena, and she is shocked by the call. She apologizes for not hearing and prepares to fight in the entrance tournament. She asks him not to forget to talk to the other girl, and the young man agrees to try. The fox girl says that the girl is strange and he should avoid getting involved with her. He says she seems like a good person, and that anyone who cares a lot for others can't be bad. The teacher warns her that this is her last chance to succeed, and she acknowledges it. She takes a deep breath and prepares for the fight that will determine her future at the academy. She's very sorry when thinking about going back to where she came from and focuses on the battle. The coach calls number 36 to step up to the stage, and the hooded young man approaches. He stares at the pink-haired girl with a sly smile and gets ready for the fight. She looks at him with a face that reveals her surprise and doesn't understand what's going on. He removes his hood, revealing his identity, shocking the girl, who is surprised to see him there. He says he's come to participate and prepares for battle with a confident look. The two face each other in the arena, ready for the fight that will determine their fates. The university dean and the colorful coach watch the scene and wonder how the girl from the meringue family ended up there. The coach explains that she nearly failed all her assessments last year. Even the chemistry test, which she was supposed to be good at, was disastrous for her. The coach says that if she doesn't win any matches, she will have to be sent home. The heroine realizes that even though she can make medicinal food, she has no fighting skills. The coach announces the start of the match, and the opponents face each other in the arena. He leaps to the side to give them space to fight with all their strength and skills. The girl with pink hair declares that she can't lose under any circumstances and prepares for the fight. The hooded young man states that he didn't expect to fight a beautiful girl like her. He boasts about his vast experience, claiming that he will easily win the next fight. He imagines that after the battle, she'll be amazed by him and leap into his arms. Suddenly, the girl attacks him with a powerful strike, hitting his face directly. The blow sends him flying, and he falls to the ground, stunned by her strength. The heroine wonders why he's just standing there smiling instead of fighting. The spirit warns him not to get lost in dreams and not to be eliminated in the first round. He says he's the hero and won't be easily defeated by a girl like her. She attacks him again with a strong hit, but he grabs her wrist and stops her. He says the same move won't work twice and looks at her with a serious gaze. She kicks him, but he sidesteps and throws her aside with a swift step. He prepares for the next attack, and the girl faces him with a determined look. She runs toward him, getting ready for a close attack with all her might. He faces her with a confident smile, gearing up for what's to come in the fight. The scene shifts to the hero, who is watching the battle intently and learning from both. He says an ordinary fight will never hit him and boasts about his skills. The hero cheers for the girl, while the fox girl feels jealous because he's rooting for the other girl. The girl with pink hair takes a deep breath and gets ready to use a secret and powerful technique, pulling out a giant chicken leg, saying she can't afford to lose in the fight. Then she pushes the whole leg into her mouth, leaving the young man astonished by the bizarre scene. The chubby young man realizes that she is using spirit food to enhance her battle strength. He wonders what would happen if she ate all this at once, as they are real grains. He fears that a huge burst of energy will explode in her body all at once. Suddenly, a brilliant light emanates from her, and the young man uses his hand to protect himself from the energy explosion. Her clothes tear from the energy explosion, giving her a more ferocious and powerful appearance. Both the hero and the fox are shocked, wondering if the explosion has destroyed her body or her clothes. The young man's nose begins to bleed, and he laughs at the scene he just witnessed. He says even with her last effort, she won't be able to defeat him. The girl says that even if it's impossible, she has to try and prepares for the attack. She kicks him with a strong blow, but he dodges and easily throws her aside. The spirit warns her that her power has now surpassed the chewing enhancement stage. She says not yet, and prepares for a more powerful and destructive attack. He states he will take the fight seriously and gets ready for the next battle. The two face each other in the arena, preparing for the final battle that will decide the winner. She attacks him with a powerful kick, sending him flying with the force of the blow. The hero praises her strength, but the fox girl says she's pushing her limits. She explains that at this intensity, she won't be able to fight for more than a few minutes. The girl with pink hair breathes deeply and wonders if she has managed to win the fight. She looks at her fallen opponent and can't believe she defeated him so easily. The coach feels concern for the young man, but the dean reassures him not to worry. He states that the battle isn't over yet, and the hooded young man has not been defeated. Suddenly, the young man gets up and says he didn't expect to be knocked down by a local girl. He states that it seems he must show his true strength to win the fight once and for all. He prepares and faces the girl with a serious and determined look, ready for battle. He declares that this time he won't let her hold his hand and will use all his strength to defeat her. He charges at her with astonishing speed, and the girl gets ready for the attack. She's surprised by his speed and can't believe what she's seeing. He attacks her from above, and the hero shouts for her to watch out for the incoming strike. She spins and prepares to counterattack, but he is faster and strikes her directly. The blow sends her flying, and she falls to the ground, defeated and without the strength to fight. He stares at her with a victorious smile and prepares for the next attack with malice. He produces a blue flaming lotus flower and launches it at her with an evil grin. The attack hits her directly and sends her flying away with a powerful energy explosion. Her shadow appears in the middle of the explosion, and the young man seems satisfied with the result. She screams in pain as the devastating blow hits her, collapsing to the ground helplessly. Both the hero and the fox girl are shocked by the power of the attack, feeling worried for the girl. Her clothes are torn, and she appears to be suffering from battle injuries. The fox girl covers the hero's eyes and tells him not to look at her. The onlookers are surprised to see that the young man possesses the blue lotus flames and admire him. The girl takes a deep breath and wonders what has happened to her after the strong attack. He approaches her and asks if she's not going to give up after everything that has happened. She stares at him with determination, getting ready for her next move in the fight. She grabs a vial and drinks its contents in one gulp to regain her strength and energy. The liquid engulfs her body in flames, and she prepares to attack with renewed and striking power. He is shocked by her recovery and can't believe what he sees. She attacks him with a series of powerful blows, hitting him directly with all her strength. He tries to defend himself, but she's faster and strikes him relentlessly. She attacks him with a merciless tempo, leaving him no chance to respond. The coaches wonder if the girl has gone mad, watching the scene in astonishment. The hero notices that her aura has intensified, and questions whether she has achieved a higher level. The scene shifts to the girl, who appears to have awakened a new power within her. The fox girl explains that she's pushing her limits by using more pills to win. She says that at that moment, the girl is literally burning her vital energy to fight. The pink-haired girl states that she can't afford to lose and continues to attack with all her might. He defends against her strikes, noting her tenacity and unwillingness to give up. He proclaims that he will not hold back anymore and prepares to unleash a powerful, final attack. He strikes her with a blue lotus explosion, sending her flying away with the force of the blow. The explosion hits her directly, and she's thrown away without a chance to defend herself. She screams in pain as the blow strikes her and falls to the ground defeated and incapacitated. He prepares to attack again, but the coach shouts at him to stop fighting. He says that the fight could end in tragedy and orders an immediate halt to the battle. He attacks her with a blue lotus storm and traps her in a whirlpool of energy. The coach screams that the match is over, but he does not stop attacking and continues to fight. He declares that it's too late and that he won't stop until she surrenders and withdraws from the fight. The girl wonders if it's truly over and braces for the worst. Suddenly, she remembers her past and how she was scolded by her family. Her father accuses her of bringing shame to the family by studying useless recipes instead of chemistry. She says her food also has the effects of the pills, and she doesn't understand why she can't use it. Her father hits her and says that cooking is a disgrace to the meringue family name. He decides to send her to the academy, and if she doesn't learn, he will arrange her marriage. He calls her useless and kicks her out of the house, telling her not to let him see her again. She clenches her fists tightly and says she needs to prove that her food is as good as the pills. She recalls her dream of changing people's perception of cooking and feels despair. In the end, she wonders if anything can really change and if she's capable of proving her worth. Suddenly, the hero appears before her, protecting her from the fabricated young man's attack. He stops him from attacking and says that she's a good person and he cannot hurt her. He tells him that if he intends to hurt her, he must go through him first and challenges him. He tries to draw his weapon, but Kanon realizes that the young man is very strong. He says the hero is brave and looks at him with disdain and admiration. The coach interrupts the fight and asks everyone to leave the arena now that the match is over. He announces that the winner of the match is the fabricated young man, and the girl is devastated by the news. He glares at the hero with a triumphant smile, boasting about his victory in the arena. He warns the young man that he must win the next match or he won't get a chance to face him again. The hero says he will do his best to get past the first round and looks at him with eyes full of anger. The fox girl gets angry at his calmness and says that the young man was clearly threatening him. The pink-haired girl approaches and coughs weakly, indicating that she has suffered severe injuries. He asks her if she's okay, and she thanks him for saving her from the opponent's attack. She expresses her regret for not being able to win a single round. Even after trying her best in the fight, she begins to cry desperately and feels humiliated by her loss in the battle. Suddenly, she starts to vomit, causing the hero to worry about her condition. He assures her that she's fine, and the fox girl prepares to get healing pills to help her. She says she ate too much and ended up vomiting, but the fox girl suspects it looks like blood. The hero offers to help her rest, and she thanks him for his kindness. The coach calls him and asks where he thinks he's going with the pink-haired girl. He says it's his turn to fight, and the hero prepares for the upcoming confrontation. He reveals that his opponent is the killer, Wangsu, and the man glares at the young man with contempt. He orders the fox girl to take the girl off the stage, and she reluctantly agrees. She wonders why she has to take care of that silly woman and takes her to a safe place. The coach tells the two to prepare for the fight as the arena goes completely silent. The hero and his opponent face each other in the arena, ready for the final battle. The man mocks him, saying he has squandered his last chance to survive. The hero confronts him in silence, preparing for the fight that is about to begin. The coach announces the start of the match, and the killer advances to attack the young man. He strikes him with his massive weapon, but the hero is ready to face the blow. He says that if things are like this, he will have to take him down, and looks at him with a cunning glare. The girls feel anxious about the hero and wonder if he'll be okay in the fight. The fox girl tells the pink-haired girl not to worry, as they don't understand her brother's strength, and that there's no attack he can't overcome. The hero faces his opponent with confidence, preparing for the fight. He wonders what kind of move he's using and looks at him curiously. The killer takes a deep breath and gets ready to unleash a super secret and powerful technique. He releases a dark energy aura and screams with all his strength in the fighting arena. An explosion of golden light occurs, and the hero watches the scene with intense interest. He presses down on the ground firmly and prepares for the final attack with a determined look. He reveals his secret technique, Iron Column Dance, and adopts a completely strange stance. The hero's nose starts to bleed, shocked by the scene he's witnessing. Other students also feel disgusted and start to feel nauseated by the sight. The chubby man states that this is why no one who has seen a fight like this can stand again afterward. The colorful coach says using such a flashy move is a disgrace to the academy. The dean reprimands him, saying the visual effect is just a distraction from the real attack. He points at others lying on the ground, saying that something is very wrong with them. The hero also feels nauseous and realizes that the attack has a hidden effect. The killer jumps into the air and prepares to attack the young man while he's distracted. He strikes him with his huge weapon, but the hero manages to evade the blow just in time. He says the young man won't miss the opportunity and chases him around the arena while holding his weapon in his hand. He attacks him again with a powerful strike, but the hero prefers to dodge the attacks. He uses the whirling iron column dance and creates an energy whirlwind in the arena. The other students can't take it anymore and start to vomit in front of the disgusting sight. The pink-haired girl realizes his trick and prepares to counter the attack. She reveals that his trick is releasing poisonous smoke from his iron column. He states that the whole arena is covered in his poison smoke and that the match is indeed his. The hero covers his nose and mouth to avoid inhaling the poison and prepares to fight. The girls complain that using poison secretly is despicable, but he doesn't care at all. He says that in the theater of life and death, all means are allowed to win the fight. The coach smiles, believing that this is exactly the kind of killer he hired. The fabricated young man almost fell into the trap, but the coach corrects him, saying he actually fell into it. The killer attacks him with his massive weapon, commanding him to perish in agony in the arena. The hero feels his body freezing and his head from the effect of the poison. He wonders what's happening and realizes he's in a very dangerous position. The man mocks him, saying he can't even use 10% of his power right now. He announces that he will finish his suffering quickly and looks at him with a harsh gaze. He strikes him with a powerful blow, but the hero manages to defend himself. The hit hurts him, but he doesn't give up and prepares to face his opponent's attack. The killer assaults him with a series of blows, and the hero struggles to stay on his feet. He relentlessly strikes him with his special iron dance and gives him no chance. The hero is hit from all sides and seems to be losing the battle severely. The pink-haired girl can't believe he's losing so badly, and the fox girl screams at him to stop. She screams at the coaches to halt the match, but they do nothing to intervene. The coach states that he still has the ability to fight, so they can't stop the battle. The hero continues to be beaten, but he does not abandon his determination and prepares for a counterattack. The white-haired girl watches the scene from afar, looking frustrated by his strength. She says if this is all he's got, he's truly disappointing her as she glares at him with disdain. The killer prepares for the final blow, raising his weapon to attack the young man. He strikes him with a devastating hit, and it seems the hero has finally been defeated. The girls are shocked by the scene and can't believe what has happened. The man is astonished to see that the hero is still standing and gazes at him in disbelief. The young man holds his weapon with both hands and stops him from attacking again with his strength. He declares that with the little strength he has left, he still wants to resist and looks at him with disdain. The hero states that due to his limited power, he needs to put everything into his final strike. The man laughs and says a weak blow like that won't be able to hurt him at all. He strikes him with a powerful blow to the stomach, and the man is shocked by the impact of the hit. He can't believe that such a weak strike could cause him all this damage. Energy explodes from the hero, hitting the killer with all its might. The blow sends him flying into the air, crashing to the ground. Defeated and without the strength to fight, the girls and the chubby man are stunned by the scene and can't believe what has happened. The man wakes up and confronts the hero with an expression filled with anger and determination. He attacks him again with a powerful punch, but the hero is ready to respond. He strikes him directly, and the man screams in pain from the force he has received. He falls to the ground, defeated, and the hero wins the battle with his last burst of determination. He stands injured but victorious and says he won the battle with his final blow. The killer cannot believe he lost and claims it is impossible for him to be defeated. He asks how the hero managed to beat him if he was poisoned and had no strength to fight. He wonders if the young man has a special ability that protects him from poison. The hero says that this is the power he possesses even after losing his strength. The man calls him a monster and stares at him with a look filled with fear and admiration. The coach announces that the winner of the round is the hero, and the crowd cheers. He celebrates his victory and feels relieved that he made it through the first round. The dean orders the poisonous fog released by the killer in the arena to be dissipated. The colorful coach uses a fan to purify the air and help everyone recover from the effects of the poison. Rain falls from the antidote onto the students, and they begin to recover from the poison. They feel their bodies returning to normal and their strength gradually restoring. The hero also feels better and realizes that the poison did not affect him much. The girl with pink hair praises his victory and jumps with joy in the arena. She hugs him tightly and says he is stronger than she imagined. The fox girl feels angry at the scene and prepares to separate the two out of intense jealousy. She stomps the ground and gets ready to attack the girl hugging him. She pushes her away and screams not to get close to her brother Linggen. The girl says she just wanted to congratulate him, but the fox girl accuses her of wanting his body. The scene shifts to the next battle, where the hero prepares to face his next opponent. The masked young man complains that he should be the one surrounded by beautiful girls, not the hero. The coach says the young man's strength has truly exceeded his expectations, and he is impressed. He asks if the masked young man is sure he can handle him, to which he responds he is confident. He declares that in his dictionary, there is no word for weakness, and he gets ready to fight. Suddenly, an old man interrupts him and hands him a fine. He says that starting a fire in the academy results in a fine of 500 spirit stones. The young man feels annoyed and asks who he is and why they are treating him this way. The coach grabs him and says he is responsible for discipline and is the dean of the academy. The old man gazes seriously at the young man, leaving him speechless. He points to the academy president and says he watches everything with interest and care. The young man pays the fine, but the old man fines him again for attacking an academy staff member. He gets angry about the situation, but the coach calms him down and tells him to pay the fine. He vows to take revenge on the academy president, the old man, and also the hero for everything that happened. He glares at the young man with a look full of hatred and promises he will also take revenge on him. The hero feels a chill and wonders why the atmosphere has suddenly turned cold. He congratulates the chubby young man on easily defeating a 5-star killer. He says that thanks to him, he obtained a lot of information that will sell well in the black market. Suddenly, the coach calls out to the chubby young man, saying he is the last to fight in the first round. The young man is shocked and prepares to fight in the final tournament. The scene shifts to the arena, where the chubby young man is ready to face his opponent. He confronts his opponent in the arena and prepares to start the fight. His opponent is Yu-Gi-Oh, a young man with red hair and a serious, confident look. The dean reveals that the young man is his useless grandson, shocking the colorful coach. He says that the boy refuses to learn the family techniques, so he sent him to the academy. The other students recognize him as the grandson of the academy president and comment on his appearance. The hero warns him that he will be severely bullied, but the chubby young man laughs and downplays it. He says that his intelligence can make up for his lack of combat skills. He reveals that he has a lot of information about the academy president's grandson and is ready to fight. He claims that with his secret techniques, he will not give up in the arena without a fight. The coach announces the start of the match, and the chubby young man gets ready to use his technique. He employs the royal technique to open the heavenly eye, revealing a third eye on his forehead. The fox girl explains that this is a secret ability that can see the future and is very rare. The chubby young man faces his opponent and prepares to use his ability to predict his moves. The red-haired young man says the fight is getting exciting and readies himself to attack. He uses Tang analysis to calculate the probabilities of his opponent's attack. He predicts that the likelihood of him using earth techniques is 85%. The young man employs the earth rock push technique, and the chubby young man prepares to dodge the attack. He creates a giant rock wall and launches it towards the chubby young man with all his strength. The chubby young man evades the attack, leaving the red-haired young man astonished by his lightness. He remarks that the attack path was indeed calculated and that he wouldn't get hit. The hero notes that the chubby young man is agile, and the fox girl confirms that the reason is his heavenly eye. She explains that with this ability, he receives ideas from a royal ancestor of the Tang clan, essentially as if he were possessed by the spirit of a king, and that's why he fights so well. Now, the academy president's grandson is unaffected and prepares for the next attack as his hands shimmer red. The chubby young man then calculates a 90% chance that his opponent will use close combat techniques. Suddenly, the young man uses a technique to shorten the distance and rushes towards him quickly. In a swift motion, he appears before the chubby young man and prepares to attack him with a punch. The young man does not panic and tells himself he just needs to raise his hand in a certain position. With a confident smile, he believes he can easily parry his opponent's attack. But to his surprise, the opponent's punch strikes him directly in the face with devastating force. The blow sends him flying, and he crashes to the ground, unconscious and defeated. The academy president's grandson is shocked by the result and doesn't understand what just happened. The chubby young man lies on the ground with a large swelling on his head, appearing out of the fight. The hero shouts his friend's name, worried about his current condition. The young man wakes up and writes in his notebook that he needs to account for the power difference next time. The hero shouts that it's not the right time to take notes, and the chubby young man falls back down on the ground. The coach congratulates the young man on his victory and wonders if the chubby young man will be okay. The academy president says that his grandson has progressed, yet he still refuses to use the family techniques. The red-haired young man looks up and confronts his grandfather and the coach in the academy tower. Without saying a word, he turns away from the arena with a serious expression. Then the coach tells young Yui to leave the stage and prepare for the next round. In the meantime, the hero carries his friend on his back and praises his fighting strength. The young man says he wanted to learn that technique, but the chubby young man replies that he doesn't need it. Suddenly, the coach announces that in the second round, there will also be randomly selected opponents. The red-haired coach asks if the draw will truly be random, to which the academy president replies that he does not know. The masked young man feels anxious about not being able to face the hero, but the coach reassures him. With an evil smile, he reveals that the young man has angered more people than he thinks. Then he folds a paper in his hand and says, "The first match of this round has already been decided." As he opens the papers with a tense face, he prepares to announce the names of the next fighters. Then the coach calls out Linggen's name, and the young man watches the stage with interest for the fight. His opponent is none other than the masked young man, Xiao Huo, who smiles wickedly. The girl with pink hair and the fox girl wonder how the draw was rigged this way. The coach shows the papers and denies any manipulation, stating that the academy is fair to everyone. The masked young man agrees and jumps into the arena, ready for the upcoming fight. He provokes the hero, questioning if the young man is afraid of his strength, which angers the fox girl. The young coach told the girl that it's enough talk and prepared for the next fight. With a serious look, he said he wouldn't back down if he wanted to enter the ranks of the best in the academy. The girl with pink hair saw that he was strong, but the fox girl felt jealous, while the chubby boy took notes. The hero entered the fighting arena and faced his opponent with a serious and determined look. The masked boy smiled and said he didn't expect to find someone brave to fight him. With an evil grin, he prepared to attack the hero with his massive sword. Before waiting for the fight to begin, he stepped forward and said he would settle the score with the young man. The fox girl screams, saying this is a surprise attack, but the coach pretended that the fight had already begun. Angrily, she complained that everyone in the academy was bothering her brother and called them despicable. The hero managed to evade all of the opponent's attacks with stunning agility. The masked boy continued to attack relentlessly, but couldn't hit the hero at all. The coach was amazed by the speed of the young man and couldn't believe what he was seeing. Suddenly, the hero appeared behind the opponent, and the coach shouted to warn him. With a powerful strike, he prepared to hit the masked boy from behind with all his strength. The boy turned and blocked the blow, saying that even though the young man was fast, it wasn't enough. A blast of blue flames erupted, and the shockwave affected the entire arena. The hero was thrown back due to the force of the explosion, while the opponent emerged unscathed. He was able to protect himself from the flames with his arm, but he seemed to have suffered minor burns. The masked young man said he now understands his fighting style and won't allow him to get close. The hero blew on his burned hand and complained that the opponent's flames were too hot. With a serious look, he felt that the situation was becoming very dangerous for him. Following that, the masked boy concentrated a large amount of blue flames in his hand. He summoned 2 giant fire dragons and prepared for the final attack in the arena. The hero stepped back and felt the heat too high to protect himself with his body. The coach smiled wickedly, wishing that the masked boy would eliminate the hero. The girl with white hair said it was time for the young man to reveal his devilish techniques to win. The hero stood in a corner of the arena, realizing there was nowhere to escape to right now. With an evil smile, the masked boy yelled for the hero to die once and for all. The fire dragons rushed towards him with astonishing speed. The hero stated that he had no choice but to use all his strength to win the fight. The girls were excited, and the chubby boy wondered which technique the leader Linggen would use now. He gestured with his hands and prepared to use one of his immortal secret techniques. Then, he shouted the name of the technique, which is chest press, and pushed the flames away. The opponent shouted that this was not an immortal technique, and the young man retorted that it was from his physical training experience. The masked boy praised him for holding off the dragons, but warned him that his trick was not yet complete. Suddenly, the flames in the hero's hands exploded and spread across the arena. The flames then transformed into dozens of blue fire lotus flowers surrounding the young man. The opponent challenged him to capture all the lotus flowers with this thrilling attack. The hero stated that, in order to win, he needed to use a more powerful eternal technique than the previous one. He then prepared to use one of his secret eternal techniques to defend himself. The hero used a sideways rotation exercise, creating multiple images of himself in the arena. The young man with white hair was shocked, thinking he had learned his technique, but someone corrected him immediately. With swift movements, The hero managed to evade all the fiery lotus flowers. The opponent felt he was using airflow to blow the flames away, which he found annoying. He said that the young man was now surrounded by fiery energy and ready for the next attack. He then used a fiery rock prison and trapped the hero in the arena. The other students wondered how he used an earth technique when it was related to fire and metals. The instructor bragged about the young man's elemental exchange style, which annoyed the opponent. The masked boy mocked the others for not understanding the principle of the 5 elements in the world. The dean was impressed by the technique and told the instructor to record everything using the display stone. The instructor worried about the cost of the crystal, but the dean wasn't impressed by the money. The masked boy claimed he now understood the principles of the world and that his techniques had no limits. With a war cry, he prepared to attack the hero with his new powerful technique. Using a devastating explosion, he unleashed a devastating attack toward the hero. The rock prison exploded, and fragments of stone flew everywhere with incredible force. The chubby boy and the pink-haired girl shouted the hero's name. They looked worried for his safety. The instructor with the red hair was saddened by the loss of his spirit stones and almost fainted from the pain. The pink-haired girl prepared to save the hero, but the fox girl stopped her from going. The girl asked why she was preventing her from helping, and the fox girl responded not to worry. With a confident smile, she said that a small technique like that wouldn't be a problem for her brother. The masked boy smiled in satisfaction, saying that a native of this world would never be close to him. Suddenly, he felt a tremor in the arena and wondered what was happening with the ground. The earth began to shake violently, and the entire arena started to crack and collapse. The remaining students wondered if it was an earthquake and panicked in the arena. The fox girl smiled wickedly, stating that her brother Linggen would finally reveal his true strength. Suddenly, a golden light burst from the hero, revealing he was perfectly fine from the attack. With a strong movement, he used the rapid pressure on the ground and broke the rock prison. The masked boy was shocked by the sight and couldn't believe his attack had been blocked. The fox girl said that compared to her brother's usual training, this was nothing, and the other girl was astonished. The hero breathed calmly, stating that the weight was still light for him at the moment. The opponent got angry, declaring that it was impossible for someone from this world to humiliate him. Refusing to lose to anyone, he readied himself for the next attack. Using the powers of metal and earth, he gave his sword a weight of 10,000 pounds. He then launched lightning strikes toward the hero with all his might. The dean remarked that the young man's anger clouded his judgment, and the colorful instructor agreed. He forgot that his opponent was better in close combat and prepared for the counterattack. The hero used a body rotation exercise and spun to dodge the sword attack. With a quick movement, he evaded the blade, and the sword ended up stuck in the ground of the arena. The masked boy was stunned as he saw his mysterious black weapon being caught by the opponent. He saw the hero's fist coming toward his face and couldn't evade the blow in time. The hit struck him directly and sent him flying away with the force of a devastating blow. The opponent got tense from the hit and couldn't understand how he was struck so easily. The hero appeared before him, stating that he lost the fight and that everything was over now. The girls celebrated the hero's victory, and the fox girl shouted his name. The instructor was angry about the defeat and called the masked boy useless for losing. Then the hero turned and walked away, leaving the defeated opponent behind in the arena. With his anger-clouded eyes, the masked young man shouted at the hero to stand in place. Refusing to accept loss, he asked Master Dan to lend him his power for one last game. Master Dan shouted that it was madness to ask for his power, refusing to risk his soul for a simple test. But the boy insisted, saying that if he didn't perform now, his coming to this world would mean nothing. His mind returned to when he was just an ordinary student being bullied for reading manga in the street. Filled with anger, he imagined he had the hero's powers to take revenge on everyone. Suddenly, a voice shouted a warning, and the young man looked to see a truck speeding toward him. He understood instantly that the driver wouldn't be able to brake in time. The next thing he knew, he simply woke up in the manga world, astonished that he had truly been transported. Even after becoming a prominent young man, he was still looked down upon, and others threw things at him. However, the boy promised that he would no longer be worthless because he now possessed a mysterious ring. Just like in the stories, the ring contained the spirit of a powerful practitioner named Master Dan. Before his death, the man was a master in alchemy and helped the young man become much stronger. Thanks to his new abilities, he took revenge on everyone who humiliated him and put them in their places mercilessly. Due to his outstanding performance, he began to earn respect and admiration from his family. The young man then decided to take leadership of the clan to prove he was no longer a failure. In the present, it was said that with the hero's power, he couldn't lose to any ordinary person. With limited choices, Master Dan acknowledged that the boy's stubbornness couldn't be dealt with. He warned that the energy he had would only last a short time and gave him a caution. The spirit cried out in pain, telling the young man to use this power cautiously and wisely. Surrounded by a golden aura, the boy assured the master not to worry, declaring that victory was indeed his. In the observation tower, the instructor noted that the boy's aura seemed unnatural, and the dean agreed. Master Dan explained that despite his strength and life, he could only grant him the power of the Gold Heart stage, but the boy smiled, stating that what mattered was the ability to use the fires of the 5 elements. Combining the elements of metal and water, he gathered his strength for a tremendous strike. With a battle cry, he unleashed a wave of blue energy straight toward the hero. The attack scored a direct hit, engulfing him completely in the water explosion. Now, the prominent young man was trapped inside a water sphere, looking like he was about to drown. The pink-haired girl was astonished, wondering how he had suddenly regained his strength, and noticed that his talent had also jumped to the Gold Heart stage. The fox girl shouted that it was impossible for a new student to have such power and accused him of cheating, but the instructor cut her off, stating that she shouldn't make accusations without evidence. The masked boy commented that, even with all that power, being submerged would definitely affect him. Another student began shouting that this was more than just a fight and that they were being pulled into the arena. Suddenly, even the academy director almost got swept away due to the aftermath of the battle. A wave of red energy was unleashed to quell the battle and protect the crowd, leaving everyone astonished as he resolved the situation with just one move. One student remarked that he didn't regret coming to an academy with such powerful characters, while another pointed out that the director's artificial legs were showing as he soared at a high altitude. Meanwhile, the masked boy told himself that he refused to be ordinary anymore, and that he had to win at all costs. Suddenly, a strong light shone from within the water prison on the edge of the explosion. With a powerful punch, the young man shattered the water prison and broke through the attack barriers. The masked boy froze at the sight, unable to comprehend what had just happened. The hero declared that he had more to fight for and prepared for a counterattack. He then directed his eternal technique, which seemed like a completely ordinary punch. The punch landed squarely on his opponent, sending the man flying with astonishing force. The masked boy felt the power of the hit, struggling to believe its raw strength. This impact caused a massive explosion in the arena, creating a huge cloud of dust. The resulting wave destroyed everything around them, forcing the students to protect themselves as best as they could. The others thanked the director, relieved that the explosion wave had almost hit them in the stands, while the director loudly wondered how a blow without spiritual energy could be so powerful. In utter astonishment, the dust finally cleared, revealing the arena's ground completely torn apart due to the battle. Lying on the ground, the masked boy found it hard to believe the situation, with the instructor confirming his defeat. He refused to accept his loss and tried to retaliate, but the spirit told him to stop wasting his efforts. Just at that moment, the hero approached and apologized, leaving his opponent more confused. Without hesitation, the hero hit the masked boy, who cried out in pain. The blow completely knocked him out, leaving him scorched on the arena floor. With a serious look, the hero revealed a secret. It turns out, he was also mobile. The instructor got angry, questioning the true power of that person. The winner of the match was announced, and the hero celebrated as the crowd went wild. The two girls raced to the stage and hugged him tightly, congratulating him on his victory. The boy felt a bit embarrassed and admitted that the battle had been exhausting for him. In the end, the pink-haired girl said there was no need to worry, reassuring him that she had plenty of food. She then pulled out a massive piece of meat from a very strange place, surprising everyone. The fox girl shouted at her to put the food somewhere else, but the girl didn't see what the big deal was, simply explaining that it was the place where she had the most space, almost leaving the fox girl floored by the ridiculous scene. While the hero was eating, the fox girl decided that she would learn to cook so she could provide some competition. The coach is yelling that the competition has ended and orders them to leave the stage immediately. Suddenly, an idea lights up in the hero's mind as he munches on a huge piece of meat. He takes 2 pieces of meat in his hands and heads towards his opponent, who is lying on the ground. The hero offers the food and asks if the other is hungry too. The boy with the mask glares at the piece of meat with disdain and refuses the offer. Angrily, he slaps the meat away and shouts that he doesn't need the hero's pity. The masked boy runs off, causing the fox girl to get upset, but the hero stops her from doing anything. The pink-haired girl calls him generous, but the hero explains that they are from the same place. The two girls look at each other in confusion, wondering what he means by being from the same place. The coach, who looks down on him, scoffs at the boy, saying it's a shame for him to call himself the chosen one. With an evil look in his eyes, he thinks he needs to find another way to deal with the hero. Suddenly, a hand appears and slaps a fine directly onto the coach's face. The old man from the disciplinary committee has arrived, punishing him with a 100 soulstone fine for spitting on the ground. The coach is surprised but quickly becomes flustered and agrees to pay the old man. He pays the fine with a look full of resentment and vows to take revenge on the hero for this humiliation. Meanwhile, the hero suddenly sneezes and wonders what just happened to him. The girl offers him some soup, but he ignores it, saying, "Someone should be thinking about him." Suddenly, the girl with white hair appears, calling the hero's name with a serious expression. Her gaze is cold and determined as she stares at him without saying anything more. The coach tries to intervene, warning her that it's not her turn to fight now. She admits that the hero has some power, but completely ignores the coach to talk to him. The girl expresses that she was surprised he solved the last match easily, then insults the fallen opponent. Angry, she proclaims that since others couldn't force him to use his true techniques, she'll do it herself. The hero becomes flustered and confused about why she accuses him of being a demon. She asks the coach if she can fight now. He agrees, but says she must choose an opponent. With a wicked and confident smile, it seems the white-haired girl has a plan in mind. She simply raises her sword and challenges all the remaining students to fight her at once. The others are shocked by her arrogance, but one admits that her high cultivation level is impressive. The masked boy says she's the woman he chose, but the spirit reminds him that she is after the hero. The spirit tells him that the other boy is considered a drifter and urges him to stop dreaming. However, the boy smiles, stating that having a drifter as an opponent confirms his chosen status. Mr. Dan has lost all his patience, wondering how he got trapped by this boy. With a look of pure determination, the young man vows to overcome every obstacle and crush anyone in his way. He asks the coach if this isn't against the rules, but the coach just replies that this is how youth should be. He asks the girl if she is sure of her decision, and she confirms that she doesn't want to waste any more time. With an excited voice, the coach encourages her to show them what today's youth can do. Then the coach sighs in disappointment and announces the start of the battle between the girl and the other students. The others, feeling disturbed by her behavior, prepare to attack with all they have. She mocks their techniques, calling them cheap tricks as she readies for battle. Then, she unleashes the technique, Dance of the 100 Swords, and a bright light emanates from her body. One of the students declares that he will break all the rules with his power while charging forward. He uses the technique of the purple thunder blade, but the girl seems completely unfazed. With a look of pure disdain, she asks him if he really wants to compete in raw power with her. Suddenly, his sword starts to shatter as a fierce light radiates from the white-haired girl. His sword breaks into a million pieces, and the boy can only stare in shock at her power. The resulting wave strikes him directly, sending him and the other students flying. He soars through the arena before crashing to the ground. Completely defeated and unable to continue, the red-haired and chubby boy watches the scene, awestruck by the girl's overwhelming power. The man loses consciousness upon impact, his face showing pain and astonishment as he falls to the ground. The red-haired boy praises the girl for taking down the young teacher in one move. The chubby boy is also in admiration, saying her sword skills are on another level. Suddenly, the girl yells at the chubby boy, asking why he hasn't entered the arena yet. With a confident smile, the red-haired boy declares that he will never lose to anyone.